use this Yeti mic, which is a USB microphone.
I'm wondering, is the audio port microphone better or the USB? Because there's one problem I always run into with the USB microphone I have, and that's specifically on Skype. That I'll be talking to someone, if its audio is supposed to be coming from the microphone itself, then I'm going to hear this extremely loud, distorting static that just bursts out of the thing.
I think it depends on the microphone, you know?
Well,
I mean, mine sounds pretty... Oh, sorry, what were you saying?
No, I did get it at Walmart.
Yeah, so it could be... That could be the case, you know? It's... I mean, you hear me and it sounds pretty good, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, that's only because your voice is so sensual and deep. I'm just hypnotized.
Yeah, well, that and also, again, I'm using a Blue Yeti mic, which some people say is the better microphone out there.
Okay. Well, right now, I'm going to count down from 3. I am recording. I'm just going to edit this out, but it officially starts recording in like 3 seconds. I'm going to have 2 stories. I already hit the random pasta. One of them I'm kind of cheating because this was one I hit the random pasta. This has been saved for a while, but I saw an image on it, and I got to do this. I got to do it. Okay.
Should you give me a link or something to it?
I'll be the one reading it. I mean, if you want to interject at all, you know.
Well, I mean, if you said a picture or something, like I see the picture, you know.
It's not really a pic. You know, it's not a picture. It's a link to a song on YouTube, right?
Oh, okay.
And right. It's you know those shitty music videos from like 2000 when every angsty, stupid teenager figured out how to use Movie Maker.
Yeah.
It linked directly to that.
So it was like literally someone made a homemade one and they tried to do their effects with like whatever they had outside and everything.
Apparently, okay, and you know what the name of... Okay, I'll tell you the name of the story when we start looking. Like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Hello everyone, this is Vince12 signing in again, and welcome back to Random Imposter Critiques. I have a guest here, Alex Olinkieowitcz of... I forgot the name of your book. You had to say it.
In my mind.
I knew it was something in your mind, but I thought that there was more to it. That's why I was kind of stuck for a minute.
Well, it's the short version of the name.
If for anyone who's never heard of it, go check it out. It's a book that he's read on. He's written on his life and how mostly how autism affects him and things through his perspective with his condition and whatnot.
And if you also feel interested, you can also check out the In My Mind video, which I made before I read in my book as well.
Also check out it. He does Let's Plays, and they're very funny. And, they're decent. I give it a C-, but yeah, no, seriously, go check out his channel. And his channel usually can link you to, and I'm not saying just to talk down to you, but I found a lot of decent YouTubers from your channel on your kind of subjected stuff and your subscriptions. So Alex can be a good way to find other YouTubers. If you don't get interested in Alex, you'll find interest in some of the stuff he's interested in.
Gee, thanks.
I'm saying you have good taste.
Thank you, then.
Like, what was it, Michael Tarr? What was his name? The gentleman with the rather deep voice that you... I saw your comment on when you were asking him about Alchemia.
Yeah.
That was by coincidence. I did not expect to see your comment there.
Yeah. I think it's Marshall Dyer.
Yeah, but that guy's awesome. Go subscribe to him too.
Yep.
The story today, I knew in my heart that I had to cover this story. You want to know the title of this, Alex?
Give it to me. What is the title?
Demonic Ebony Virus Outbreak.
Demonic Ebony? What?
Yes.
Ebony?
Demonic Ebony Virus Outbreak. And you know what's the most funny thing about this? If you take the first letter and all that, what does it spell out? Devo. So so Devo is a illness.
I just can't get by the name though. It just sounds like Ebony, like Ebenezer Scrooge for some reason to me.
Or Ebony, Darkness, Dementia, Ravenway from My Immortal.
Maybe that too. Yeah.
I'm clearing my throat. That's how I clear my throat.
Yeah. you slowly become Santa.
Yes. Drunk Santa.
Yeah, drunk Santa.
But then again, that's redundant.
Yeah.
There have been many outbreaks in America. That's just that's one sentence. Wow. So, okay. I currently believe there's a West Nile virus outbreak, and there was an outbreak of swine flu a few years ago. You currently believe? No, it's you believe. You can look this up. You don't have to make generalizations. There was a West Nile virus outbreak.
Yeah.
This particular, by the way, outbreak is always capitalized for some reason. The word outbreak. This particular,
because it wants to make it very serious.
Random capitalization is for serious, yo.
Yep.
This particular virus outbreak occurred a few years ago in a rural town. Rural is capitalized for some reason. Located somewhere in New York. Rural town, New York. Rural town, New York. I don't think you know what that word means. Or either that or you've never been to New York. And I speak as a native New Yorker myself. There's nothing rural about New York.
Yeah, and I live in New York too.
Oh yeah, I forgot you're a New Yorker too.
Yeah.
Let me, before we continue, I must ask you a very important question about New York. Do we still make fun of New Jersey down there?
I try to ignore it, so I don't know.
You're a disgrace to all New Yorkers.
Thank you.
Let me see. The town was small, unincorporated. What? And barely anyone lives there now. This virus.
Wait, is it my town?
Where do you live? Buffalo?
No, I live on I live like off of Long Island. It's east end of Long Island.
Remember, kids, if you're living in Long Island, don't look anyone in the eye. That's a good. That's much like staring a silverback gorilla. That's a good way to get yourself killed. This virus was ellipses. Very different than other outbreaks and epidemics. Word of advice: ellipses are usually in stories like this for the sake of adding a dramatic pause. Unless your narrator is purposely supposed to get given a personality, there's no purpose for it here. A story like this is supposed to be a kind of recalling of this from a informative standpoint rather than an emotional one. So like something like ellipses are not warranted here because it makes it clear you're trying to make it frightening instead of informing us about something that allegedly happened, It's like do you see, like, when you read the newspaper, besides maybe something in the headlines, do you ever see anything that wasn't in quotation marks that was in ellipses?
No, I have not.
Because it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. You're being factual. And the more factual you are with stuff like this, the more frightening it is because you're making it sound official. There's a little tidbit for aspiring writers.
The shit that I took in my toilet was different from the other shit I took in ellipses. I mean,
okay, well, interesting. A very different. The virus could also be considered an episode of mass hysteria. How? An episode of mass hysteria. Hysteria. I don't know what's wrong with me. Occurring mostly in girls ages 10 to 18. These girls' lives were relatively normal. They went to school, hung out with friends, the works. The works? That's something when you say when you're describing a machine.
Yeah.
But then again, feminists are robots. Am I right, fellas? It's funny because their ideas of equality are kind of skewed.
Yeah.
Then they would get a crush on someone, usually a celebrity, and it would start out very small. What?
That's not a virus. Well, actually, if it is a virus, it's already still happening then.
Yeah, exactly.
Have any of you have this kid ever seen like Justin Bieber fans?
Well, Justin Bieber fans are a disease.
Well, that's what I mean. This can't be like a virus that went away. It's been happening. It's a widespread phenomenon.
Someone needs to write a troll pasta describing the horrors of Bieber fever.
He's got that Bieber Fever.
No, don't.
Fever.
Yes, we all watch Angry Beavers. You're not special.
Well,
Most. Let me see.
well, thank you for telling the reference.
They would have gotten it. Pretty soon, though, most of these victims seemed as if they were in a trance. The crush they had grew bigger and bigger into an obsession, as, again, Justin Bieber fans.
Yep.
Most parents of the victims began to get worried. They decided to have us all sent to a local hospital, checked out by doctor for having a crush on a boy.
So
This is like some. Okay, this must be a rural town because this is some ass backwards redneck Bible thumping shit. You were looking at that boy right now. He just sent you to the hospital to wash out those heathen thoughts.
I wonder what this guy. Is this guy like one of those very strong with his religion that he thinks that anything of like crazy fans is like, oh my god, their hormones are going crazy. They must be possessed by the demon.
The demon being the devil, Satan. Said ex mortis. Sorry, I'm trying to. I had a slight pain in my indigestion. Let me see. Let's see. All the victims were girls, but you just mentioned this. Between age 10 and 18, as stated before, they all exhibited the same symptoms. One redundancy is wonderful. Doctors had a hard time letting each girl adjust to the room they were kept in, due to most of them violently screaming and thrashing in the hallways, Bieber fans. After counseling, it was reported that 37 girls had been put in the hospital exhibiting one or more symptoms. Within a few minutes, 2 doctors were assigned to each girl so they could run tests and interview them. After interview?
Yeah, aren't you supposed to be examining them, not interviewing them?
That's like, I understand. I think I get what they're going with here, but doctors don't go around with microphones with a TV camera.
Yeah, they usually are just like there with a needle saying, I gotta take your blood for a second to test it. I'm not here. Like,
well, the one thing I can't stand about like certain people who, like this writer here does, they confuse mental psychosis with a physical ailment.
yeah.
Like it's a psychological one. This is a psychological ailment, a psychological condition that these people are suffering through. That's not something that you can just cure with, I don't know, say
Yeah. And actually, why would you take them to a hospital with that? Wouldn't you be taking them to, like a psychiatrist or something?
That's exactly that's what
mental?
That's basically what I'm saying. It's like they're confusing. Like to this person, all mental illness and disabilities and whatnot, it all kind of blurs together, and that's kind of insensitive. It's like Jeff the Killer going to like the whole thing with, oh, he's insane because he's disfigured. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
After
I can mention a dozen people who are like living great lives and they're extremely disfigured.
Sorry, my cat startled me because she thinks it's funny to roll around on the bed. It is funny, but don't distract me again, Stubby. Within few minutes, every girl claimed this. A few days after starting to build a crush, they would look in the mirror and see a demonic girl staring back at them. Well, that escalated quickly.
Okay, was it Bloody Mary?
I was about to say the same thing, actually. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a ripoff. And by the way, Candyman could kick Bloody Mary's ass. Just saying. This was described as having light blue skin, bloody lips with stitches running across her mouth, black eyes, pupils, and she was totally awesome, and she won the swim team, and she was friends with all the members of One Direction, and Justin Bieber was her husband, and go fuck yourself, seriously.
Did they say stitched up mouth?
Yeah.
It just, from hearing that, it just makes me think of, did this person saw that movie Ouija?
Oh god, don't remind me of that pile of shit.
Well, I mean, because if you think about it, wasn't like the ghosts look like that in the same way with like, didn't they have white skin, stitch up lips, and maybe black eyes? I'm not 100% sure.
See, here's the thing. I didn't see Ouija. You know why? Because I didn't want to give money to the pieces of shit that wrote it.
Mm.
Unlike
Oh,
most people, I don't like giving money to untalented people.
On a related note, sequel confirmed.
I hate all of you.
Mm.
Oh, by the way, at some point, if I ever get around to it, I would like to make a video talking to you about It Follows. I saw you did a review of it, and I didn't get to see it, so I really want to see it.
Yeah, I kind of I needed to rethink it a bit, but yeah, we'll probably do that.
I don't know, because some people tend to change their mind or reevaluate their opinions when they're presented with a reasonable counter-argument, so I think it would be a good back and forth. But back to this story.
Yeah.
Let's start talking about things that are actually interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Black eyes with red pupils, wild, curly, dark blue hair, red choker necklace, a gun with red slippers. How the fuck could you see red slippers when you're looking in a mirror that's only so big?
Yeah, do these girls like go have one of those like full wall mirrors like you see in a ballet room or something?
Just imagine like some kind of pup named Scooby-Doo-esque hammer space where they have all this shit, including a full-length mirror inside their lockers.
Yeah, for some dang reason. Yep.
This girl was said to have sang to the girls before speaking. I see you like someone. I love him too. But you deserve him, not me. I can help you get him. Allow me into your life, and I promise that he will be yours.
So was that just your dumbass conscience just telling you, yeah, you'll be able to marry your idol like every other girl feels like?
Yeah, basically. I think that's what it is. Although the random mutilation is kind of on the nose.
Is it just me, or so far it just seems like this guy just wants to try to convert the fan craze as a disease?
I think that would be an interesting premise for even a deconstruction story, but it doesn't work here because the story is unintentionally playing it completely straight.
Yeah, it's not really pulling it out very well. Well, I mean, heck, this could have worked as a South Park episode.
Oh, I think they did something like that with Britney Spears. Does that kind of count?
Yeah, maybe, yeah, probably.
When
it's been a while since I've seen South Park, so I can't say. Let's continue with the story.
Yeah, if they were active, they knew this girl's name. All victims answered with the same thing: Ebony. This Ebony was always telling the victim about their fantasies that included the celebrity the victim had a crush on and plans to help their victim receive him. The girls claim to only see in their rooms or mirrors, while others claim to have talked to her at school or at a park. Excuse me. They only thought about her and their crush and nothing else, as if they were blinded by it. I get it.
This is just reminding me again. It's like to receive them. If I recall, all you need to do is just dress up like a slut, and you'll get a backstage pass so you can do a blowjob on the guy.
Pretty much.
Yep.
It's not hard to be a slut. And
yeah.
by the
oh, you were saying? Hello? Can you hear me?
Dude.
Yeah, what happened?
I don't know what happened. Like, everything but Skype froze for a minute for some reason.
Yeah. Well,
let's continue.
You'll be able to fix that, right?
Yeah, I'll probably take it out in post. Then again, I'm incredibly lazy. That might have a hindrance in that.
Yep.
Let me see. They began to lash out at others, scream and cry at their parents and teachers, hit them, and even cut themselves. Again, Justin Bieber fans.
Yeah.
I know it's not. I'm not even joking at this point. People think it's a overdone joke, but seriously.
This sounds like nothing different from the crazy fans out there.
Most victims said that Ebony claimed that if they cut themselves, it would bring them a step closer to being with their crush. This sounds like a really shitty and boring SCP.
Yeah, and I kind of want to throw in I kind of want to question the logic of how is cutting yourself get you closer. Wouldn't you take a moment to think that?
I think the idea here is that it's supposed to be mental psychosis that kind of blinds them to this, like some kind of hypnotic suggestion. But the problem is that that's a major cop-out because there's nothing that's really indicative of that other than you're informing us that they're just going along with it because supposedly they're under control. It just makes the people involved kind of come off as mindless gits for going along with whatever this thing tells them to do.
Yeah.
Doctors stopped here and concluded the girls had all gone insane. No fucking shit. A few parents were bizarrely angry, being confused as to why all girls claimed to have seen the same thing, the same demon girl, Ebony, and that then they weren't insane. But there was a poltergeist in the town that was only visible to their victims. Call that bitch from Long Island, whatever, Long Island Medium.
Yeah, probably. Actually, this is just from the question. Then wouldn't this technically not be a disease since it's a paranormal thing?
Yeah, you actually raise a good point. You can't call it a virus outbreak because no one would see specifically the same thing if it was a virus.
Yep.
Again, this sounds like some shitty SCP knockoff.
Yeah, I mean, isn't a virus involves a physical germ, parasite, or something infecting your body? This is when you're saying a ghost, that you're throwing in possession, not disease or virus.
I could when I think about it now, it just occurred to me you can really compare this to Candle Cove and the kind of ending and the implications that it had. There's some kind of and I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't read it. Go out and read it. It's a really good story. But the ending it kind of alluded to some other supernatural aspect that's kind of messing with their heads to make them see what they're seeing. And here is it's suggesting the same thing, but there is no real punch to the reader because you're just we know what it is. Yeah. There is no interest here, and the interest should become in what's happening to these people, but they're not interesting because they're just there.
Yeah.
None of these. There are no characters, and you're supposed to describe this as a disease that actually happened. But once again, it's not factual and it's not detailed enough to where there's any horror generated by it.
Yeah, there's really nothing to get us a feeling of fear or anything. I mean, I'm kind of remembering that if I think a decent movie that I saw once was the Bay, and they at least showed some characters that were showing their signs of infection and stuff. There weren't much to them, but there were characters at least showing this crazy thing going on, which at first was a disease thought or something, you know?
Yeah, it sounds like something that I would hear from Steve. You ever seen that movie, The Fog?
Yeah, I have.
Well, I don't like I like the short story. And again, it suffers from really good payoff to kind of crappy conclusion. Yeah. But the one thing that he kind of excels at was bringing us into the scenario. The horror doesn't necessarily come from the description of the creatures themselves. It came from the paranoia and the growing discontent between the people. We saw the effects of what was happening and how it was affecting these people. And there was also this kind of looming danger that anyone could die at any point.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is that if, for example, arguably an SCP could be kind of scary depending on which ones you read and stuff. And I think what they work at is the fact that they don't give you really a full description of an event that happened. They just say what this thing does. You're left with your mind thinking this, but this story is trying to throw in an event that happened, and there is really no set up with the event almost with this disease, really. That's just there, you know?
Before I go back, I would like to mention one more. I can't remember the name of the story. I think it was just called Halloween Incident. And There was a story about, one of the many breakouts of the old man. I think SCP-096.
Uh-huh.
You know which one I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, the one that paces through walls and, portal takes you to a different dimension.
Yeah. And it's the story is basically them trying to find find him as one of his many breakouts on Halloween night, and it's a decently set up story because it comes off as a. I'm not saying it's a realistic incident, but it comes off as them. The horror comes from you never know who's going to die because people do die. Little children get killed by this thing, and remorselessly. And it even shows like the horror of someone being trapped in the pocket dimension, like trying his best to kind of wait out the clock to see if he can. The old man will kind of lose interest and just drop him off somewhere.
Yeah.
But the point is, it built off of that, and there were characters, and the incident was given more gravity because we had just enough. They were human enough to where we actually were concerned for their safety.
Yeah, like if you're gonna tell us a story about about an outbreak, at least give us like a little knowledge of like the survivors. Tell them their like what they went through a bit before how they felt and everything. Give us a little bit of stuff so we can tell like, oh man, that family must have suffered really bad from that, or I can understand that's a nightmare for a family. But nope, that's just saying this girl suffers this. Well, I don't know who she is, and I don't know really what to fear of it. Especially considering that, again, the story is saying basically what is a fangirl.
Yeah. Back to the story, because we've been kind of going on for a while.
Yeah.
I think it's an interesting conversation. We'll probably make a different post talking about stuff like this. Weeks after this gathering, the girls' behavior got worse to the point where they didn't just cut themselves, but it began to gag themselves with bags and tie strings around their necks in an attempt to hang themselves. Bags?
Yeah, wouldn't that... Why would you need to hang yourself if you're putting a bag over your head? Isn't the whole point you're cutting off circulation from the bag?
I like to tie strings around their neck. I'm just imagining like someone's trying to hang themselves with a shoestring.
They're just like, jump and then, oh, god damn it, I hurt my neck.
I just meant like, that only works if you're Tom Thumb.
Yeah.
They said they stopped after Ebony saw them and simply said, "No, not yet." They're trying to go for my horrible Gilbert Gottfried impersonation.
So wait a minute. I thought these girls were in control, like being controlled by this thing, but yet they seem to have the free will enough to decide I should commit suicide until the demon decides. Wait, you're not supposed to do that yet.
Not just that, but how the fuck are they getting their hands on plastic bags and strings to try to commit the suicide in a hospital?
Yeah, that really is true.
2 weeks later, all hell broke loose in the town. Look up "Hell Broke Loose" by Tom Waits. Awesome song. The first girl experienced what many girls would experience soon. Her name...
Justin Bieber came to town.
And then she exploded into a supernova of joy.
Yeah.
Her name was Eva Whittaker. Eva Whittaker. Something about that name makes me really want to strangle the person who wrote this. I can't quite put my finger on it. It's like when figuring out what the name of that bitch from 50 Shades of Grey, Anastasia Steele, fuck you too, writer.
Yeah, it's like some originality. You just get a random name generator crap. Didn't even take a moment to think about the name.
She suffered a mental breakdown, tore her room into strip. What room? Her room at home or in the hospital? Because she would be restrained for consistently trying to harm herself. Yeah. Feeling tortured by her lust for the celebrity she had fallen in love with. Just the celebrity, the one that everyone knows.
And can they actually at least give us even the name of the freaking celebrity these girls are attracted to?
Although that would add an oddly comedic element where it was just one specific celebrity that everyone's attracted to. I must kill myself for Sam Witwicky. Harrison Ford. Or even better, just Gary Oldman.
Because if at least it was if they actually give us the name of the celebrity, I could even throw in the question, well, if they know who the celebrity is, how come no one tried to contact the celebrity to see if there's some solution to...
Or some kind of connection.
Yeah,
Although if it was Christopher Lee, I would say this behavior is entirely rational.
True.
Who wouldn't get a hard on Christopher Lee? I mean a hard on his talent. That's what I meant. Back to the story.
Yep.
As usual, Ebony saw ellipses, but what she told the girl caused a terrible turn of events. You will have him, but first go to your kitchen, grab a knife, and bring it to me. Eva was afraid now, skeptical about why Ebony wanted a knife, but since she believed her to be her friend now, she
Wait. She questions about getting a knife, but she doesn't question about, cutting her wrists or putting a bag over her head.
Yes, suddenly her survival instincts are kicking up when she's made no qualms about trying to kill herself before.
It's like, yeah. I mean, I would probably think that, something that really is going to the point of you actually committing your self-suicide would probably trigger than you just handing a knife to someone.
Oh no, just imagining that it's like a hypothetical scenario. Rambo goes into the forest, killing people, and then, he has no problem with killing people all of a sudden, and then someone said, "You're gonna have to shoot this random guy." Oh, I can't do it.
Yeah, because I use a knife, not a gun. It's wrong using a gun.
I'm trying to. Come on, stop freezing. I would be very happy if you didn't freeze, Wiki. Chrome, specifically. Oh my fucking god. No, that was about the story, not the freezing. Reva was afraid. She followed her orders, grabbed the knife, she headed to her room. The door closed and lights were off. Suddenly she started summoning, then singing from Ebony. She was singing the darkness. Sing me to the... I'm not reading all this! They posted song lyrics!
Oh, God. Oh, wait a minute. Now I know why. You said that this wiki has a link to a YouTube video.
Yeah.
They're fans of this guy, whoever is the dumbass on the YouTube video.
Yep. Eva tried to call Ebony's name, but to no avail, as she heard Ebony saying something different. Blah, 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 bullshit, blah. The lights turned on. Ebony was right in front of Eva, a sick, twisted grin on her bleeding face. Then she sang again. I'm not reading it! She grabbed the knife from Eva's hands and pinned her to the ground. Once she had her control, she stabbed Eva multiple times in the back. Again, are we supposed to care? Because she wanted to kill herself anyway.
Yeah, and
all Eva could feel are sharp pains, and kept hearing Ebony laughing and led a line to the song, I'm not reading it. She sang over and over as she continued to stab Eva. Eva felt darkness coming over her. She was about to go to sleep, began to cry. Then Ebony noticed and sang a song quietly as if it were a lullaby and stopped. Eva was in a pool of blood now with a knife next to her. Even Ebony whispered her name.
I want to just say this. I don't have a link or a page to read the song, so I'm just gonna ask: does the song lyrics have the words "It's a small world after all"? Because I definitely could say you'll go suicide when you hear that.
I will say if it did, that this would be the best song. This would be the best post ever written. Better than Psychosis. Better than The Showers.
Yeah.
I told you he would be yours. All you had to do was bring me that knife, and now he's yours. You're almost there. Now shut your eyes and he'll be there. I hope if we ever see each other again, you thank me. You won't regret this. Farewell to heaven, my friend.
Oh, the twist is that the celebrity is dead, I guess.
No. God, I hate you all. I hate all of you. Eva was found dead the next day. Police investigated as a suicide. She was stabbed in the back.
I don't know. Was she a contortionist? That's the only way I can think you can stab yourself in the back.
Multiple times, too. I'm just imagining, well, she super glued a knife to the wall and kept jumping back into it. Suicide. Classic case.
Yep.
It's like, did the sheriff from Harvester do the investigation here?
Yeah, he just... Yep, this was probably natural causes.
Well, the human body can't survive without the spine, so naturally she'd be dead, so I'm calling it natural causes.
Got any more pie, honey?
I love that. I love that game. Thank you for introducing me to
it. No problem.
And pretty soon, the 36 other girls have been found dead. Some of the girls were found in their room, like Eva. Some had jumped, and others were found at the side of the road with a suicide note in their pocket. Just imagine that they were like as obscene and over the top as their deaths are trying, or they tried to make them. I'm just imagining one of them tried skydiving without a parachute and just splatted on the earth with a suicide note.
You know, actually, when I'm thinking of this, you know what this kind of starts reminding me of?
Oh, what?
That Japanese movie, The Suicide Club, almost.
I never heard of it.
Well, I mean, I honestly thought it was an awful movie, but a lot of people consider it a classic. But I think because from things I remember, there was like weird scenes where, you know, a bunch of random kids, and like there was this whole thing where a classic scene was a bunch of schoolgirls like jump in front of a train thing, and then there's a lot of things like I think there was like a website where there was like some kind of note and stuff, and there was even a weird part where a guy decides to play a song and something in front of these two girls with animals and bags and his bitch of a boyfriend almost with a collar and everything. I honestly I don't understand how it's a classic, but it just like when I'm hearing the thing about these girls are singing, which I think that's also the other thing in the Suicide Club. The movie begins with these girls like singing a song before they jump onto the train to commit suicide. So that I think like that's what's reminding me of this.
Now I think about it, you know, singing a song can be indeed frightening. If you don't believe me, look up Omar Little whistling. You ever seen the Omar Little from The Wire?
I'm too scared to look.
It's not a horror. It's a like a drama show. It's like Let me put a mental image in your head. Imagine you're sitting on a sidewalk just chilling, and you hear someone whistling "A Hunting We Will Go" walking down the street with a shotgun.
Yeah.
That's basically Omar Little's thing, and everyone knows to run away when he comes around.
Yeah.
Even though he goes out of his way not to kill anyone, innocent people. He just goes and does his business and leaves, but still. Yo, Omar's coming!
Alright, so how far are we left on this story?
A little bit far. And I was thinking about making this... Well, this will be not really a two-parter, but I'll have you on for the second one. It's a lot shorter, so we don't have to worry about that. Then again, having a guest on, I think it's just because I'm going on a lot of tangents. In which case, I think I've been emulating the overanalysis style quite fine. Tangents that really go nowhere. To be fair, this story sucks, so you can't blame me. Some of the girls find the room, drummed suicide note pocket. Police were now certain that this town was suffering a case of mass suicides. One of them was found with her head lopped off. I couldn't survive in this world. It was a pill overdose.
Okay.
Doctors announced that the girls were suffering from mass hysteria. A mass hysteria episode that they named demonic Ebony virus, or DEV for short. No, they weren't. They wouldn't do that.
Yeah, you don't really call that a virus.
It's like demonic. Like, are we applying this in the world of science or paranormal? Make up your mind.
I mean, paranormal could be science, but we don't have full evidence on that yet, so we can't say.
No, even then, it's like usually there's some like creatures like the bullet ant. And it's like, why do they call it the bullet ant? Because the sting feels like someone actually shot you. It's like it's hyperbole because it makes sense. It's to give it context. Calling something demonic, a virus demonic, kind of takes it out of the realm of science, now doesn't it?
Yeah, and also, again, like, this is not a virus. You can't call this a virus if it doesn't have anything to do with a virus. Yes, it has some... It seems to have the behaviors of a virus in the sense that multiple people suffer from it, but it's not from a germ or a parasite or anything. It's literally a possession or something. Wouldn't it have been more of like been called a phenomenon or incident? You know?
Now I just think about it like a virus is something that like in some way affects your body, but it doesn't affect your mind, does it?
Well, it depends on like the virus if it like destroys parts of your brain or something, you know.
But this doesn't. This is impossible. Then this is literally, and I know someone complained that you're thinking too deeply into. Of course, it's impossible because it's a creepypasta. The idea of presenting this in the way it's given is to bound it in reality, so the fear comes from the possibility that this is an actual thing that has happened and can happen. This
This is like, reminded me about how stupid like that the happening was. Like,
Yeah, it's like someone read The Happening and thought that it was actually accurate to scientific fact.
yeah, they literally tried to cause, like, the happening was literally trying to create a virus that literally caused someone to commit suicide, but though that failed badly. Really, really badly.
Everyone want to see a movie of people literally running for the wind for 2 hours?
Yeah, and let's not forget, for some reason, apparently plant life gives a virus that causes you to decide, I'm gonna mumble, then walk backwards, and then just randomly commit suicide with some questionable reason.
Well, whatever I can get my hands on.
Or like you decide, I'm gonna commit suicide. I'm gonna actually go to the hardware store, pick up a ladder, go to a tree, and then hang myself. Right?
Yeah, exactly. I didn't even think about that actually.
Yeah, it's not like, maybe I should just drive my car into the wall.
Now I think about it, that movie did give us one of the best scenes in cinema history.
Just want some cough syrup.
No, I'm talking to a petted plant.
Well, that was leading up to it too. Oh wait, I was thinking of the wrong scene. But yeah, I'm talking to a plastic plant.
And everyone says that Shyamalan's a bad director. Jeez.
Really, I thought he was a pure genius. That was like the best comedy of that year.
One day, a young girl that was 6 years old, irrelevant, walked to the same neighborhood where Eva had died. Pretty soon, she heard Ebony singing, and Eva screams. She dropped to the ground, crying in fear. She was greeted by Ebony, who slaughtered her and dumped her in the river. And this is another thing I've talked about before. You can't gloss over... Okay, I think this goes without saying, and Alex, feel free to disagree if you don't agree with me. Murder is a horrible thing.
Yep.
It's a sickening, horrible thing. And I'm not shaming this person for having a murder in their story, because that's just ludicrous. That in and of itself is not a bad thing for a story, context of a story. But as a society, in literature and the media, we've grown desensitized to violence. Like, this right here is a person who's grown desensitized to reading about violent things happening. So she glosses over that. But you can't do that, because when you ground something in reality, the idea of someone dying in the context of the story becomes horrifying. It's sickening. Mm-hmm. And you should be treated as such. Like, this is supposed to be some people who die from an illness. Like, imagine, it's like going from the original Godzilla movie, which was less about the monster itself. It was more about showing the horrors of atomic warfare and like seeing the victims and seeing them like in despair. It treated death as with the weight and gravity it deserved. That's why I love that movie so much. Like, the horror came from like. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, but also it's like another example is like from a game. If you recall Spec Ops: The Line, there was that scene where I think it was like a napalm bomb or something.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact is that like when the guys realized that they napalmed a bunch of innocent civilians, they didn't just simply walk over there and say, "Oh God, we made a mistake," and walked away. They literally stared at it for a few minutes, and looking at in the center of a mother attempting to protect her child, but that was like failed because you can't survive a napalm blast and everything, and there was actually it took that moment seriously, which is why a lot of people find that to be one of the more memorable scenes in that game, especially since it was a game with a deep message.
Yeah, the key point is that it was treated, like you said, it was taken seriously. It was given weight. It gave you enough time to let the sickening horror, the unnecessary brutality of the scenario sink in. Here and every other story like this, they glance over violent scenarios, they glance over murder because they treat it so casually and thinking that it's not a big deal. It is a big deal, and if you don't treat it like one, I don't give a fuck who dies in your shitty story.
Yeah.
Look, the body was never found. She was the last victim to suffer Dev, but though it only lasted a few minutes. Many girls around the same age found out and became unsettled, scared that they might be one of the next victim of Dev. As teachers and parents tried to calm younger children, other school children began to believe Ebony was similar to Bloody Mary. Go fuck yourself.
How is this even close to Bloody Mary?
Bloody Mary still hangs around. It's not even that scary of a... Well, then... No, I'm not afraid to look in the mirror and say Bloody Mary 3 times. I am afraid to look in the mirror and say Candyman in the mirror 3 times.
Yeah. But again, unless Bloody Mary is like the girl from The Wolf Among Us, she was a bitch.
I never seen that movie actually. Oh,
it was game.
Yeah, I remember it was a game. I just remember it. I never seen gameplay footage. You really should get around to it. I heard it's actually interesting.
Oh yeah, it is. I recommend. But
in
any case, it's...
I didn't realize the dark reality behind her. Oh God, here we go. Ebony was once a real girl, and she was 13 when she died. She had become obsessed with certain celebrity and was driven to the point of insanity by it, due to the fact that the person she was obsessed with had died years prior. That's not how that works.
So wait a minute. Now, I'm actually even questioning about where did they get this information about Ebony. They only just have her name, and that's it.
The content of the story, the narrator. Who the fuck are you? How do you know this?
Yeah, it wouldn't I would expect more information than Ebony. What about her last name? Maybe some other information. I mean, they did describe what she looked like, but for mostly what she looked like, they only described that she was creepy with messed up face and everything. So nothing that really depicts so what person who was 13 had a stitch up mouth and black eyes?
Yeah. She was bullied endlessly by her obsession and killed herself.
Of course.
Ended up killing herself. After dying, she decided to take revenge on those who had bullied her. And I guess it's supposed to be the stinger. The girls that bullied her were among the 38 victims. I don't give a shit. Who is this chick? Why should I care? You brought her up literally in the last minutes of the story as if I should care.
So wait a minute. They said that these girls were all bullied her? Is that what they said?
Okay, they were amongst the victims, but at the same time, then it's not a virus. It's selected revenge from beyond the grave. This is basically Unfriended, and fuck that movie.
Yeah, well, I haven't seen it yet. I'm waiting to actually check that out soon. I want to see how bad it is, but don't tell me about it. But in any case, it's selected revenge, for example, okay, so apparently I gotta ask the question: 30-something odd bullies? Who has that many bullies?
I mean, I had that bullies. I was treated like shit in school.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't recall anyone having an army of bullies, unless the only reason they bullied you was you were a bully yourself. But I don't see any information indicating that she was a bully.
I'm just imagining that it's like a squad of Attack on Titan squad efficiency. They have rope cables to jump and just ambush her when she's getting out of her house just to talk about how ugly her shoes are. Imagine them going on zip lines and hang gliding down to her roof and hey, you look fat today, and then just hang gliding away.
Yeah, I just questioning that. And the other thing is didn't you say that the people that were affected was at around the ages of 5 to 18 or something?
Yeah, you brought up another good point. How old were they when they were bullying you that they were that young?
Yeah, well how many years was this ago? So
were you you a 3-year-old? And you were
yeah.
Fuck this story. Fuck.
And you should.
Oh my god.
I was bullied by a 3-year-old. I feel sad. And oh my, that doesn't make any sense.
Okay, let's see. Let's try to finish this off.
All right.
Okay. All Ebony wanted was the person, she loved the most in the world, and the ones originally didn't understand her pain were placed in her shoes in the end and suck a dick. The town later became deserted. No one lives there now. Alex, are there any deserted towns in New York?
Nope.
Oh yeah, I fucking thought so. The neighbor, out of all places to pick, I can't harp over the. Why New York?
Yeah, dude, like look up on the web and look for deserted towns. I think you can find some if you just do a little Google search. You know,
like even pick Nebraska. If someone told you there was a deserted town in Nebraska, they'd believe you.
Yeah, and again, if this was like literally a full revenge thing, then really, is it really a point to have an abandonment of a whole town almost? Because really, it just leads up to the fact of, oh well, all the revenge is done, so what's the point now? So there's nothing to worry about.
The neighborhood where Eva still contains her screaming and Ebony's song voice sings quietly. I'm not reading this because, again, it's the stupid lyrics for the shitty song and your shitty fucking story, and I'm sick and tired of people... Okay,
I'm actually curious, is the person who wrote this is the same person who made that music video you mentioned?
I don't know, it's like, I think the link's on YouTube. It's called Hardstyle the Darkness. I'm not reading it, I'm not looking at it, I'm not even going to entertain the thought of doing so.
I think like that's the thing. It's like, apparently is this girl a fan of this guy's YouTube video, and that's why she was bullied by 30 odd people for some reason?
I don't think so, because the image is like one of those generic DeviantArt pictures that people just draw when they think they're edgy. You know, talented people that waste their time drawing about bullshit. Okay, and I know what hardstyle is too. It's a genre of music that's kind of similar to dubstep. The only hardstyle I've ever liked was... you ever seen that video, Tricky Madness 2?
I don't think I recall.
Don't look up the first one because it's... Unless you want to see a cartoon guy get smacked with a giant dick.
Yeah,
but
okay.
I'm not being literal, by the way. I'm being completely literal. The second one is just some fucked up guy just chainsaw intestines. If you ever heard of the Madness Combat series, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Well, let's finish up this piece of shit.
No, that's it. That's the end of the story. And I'm trying to collect myself right now so I can give an overall critique of this.
Oh well, that just ended really oddly, but yeah, So this was a story. This was a revenge story, which involved a girl who got bullied by only girls also.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Were probably around the age of 0 to maybe 13 or so, or 14, depending on how many years this was ago. And I was like, wouldn't that actually even add more connection if like all the kids turn out to be around the same grade or the same school or something? But
I think Prom Night did this plot too.
Yeah, I don't even I can't even wrap my head. And again, where is the any explanation of what was she a fan of? Like, was she a fan of just I don't know, was she a massive fan of Elmo when she was like 13 and that's why she was picked on? Because then I can understand maybe some bullying.
Just imagine just like oh my god, I love them so much. Peter, Paul, and Mary. Oh yes, sing Pete the Magic Dragon some more.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't give us any explanation about what she was a fan of, and
like you would think that would be also one of those things that are indicative to why she was the way. Like, I don't believe in that whole crap where music influences one's mindset to where they do horrible things.
Yeah,
that's not the thing. That they were always fucked up in the head, and that just kind of they were just waiting for a catalyst as an excuse. That's how I feel. But there is some mild merit into that. Like, people who listen to Marilyn Manson, and there's some people that saying that it might do something, trigger some violent reaction. Like, you can imagine that you could do the same thing here, where it was like this obsessively violent or very the kind of boorish musician that was known for being outrageous or just having kind of a cult following that died before people knew about him, or died before he really had any success, and this girl was obsessed with him and she tried to follow his example, and that's what kind of made her obsessed. Yeah. It's like there's some merit in that idea, but we don't get anything explaining it, like you said.
Yep. And I gotta throw in that other fact. The thing you said, "fuck you" at, I agree with, which is the fuck you is that just because you're writing a story, don't try to compare your work to another, famous material. Like, oh, she is considered just as scary as Bloody Mary. Don't do that. You're literally full. You're just make it showing how full of yourself you are.
Yeah, never over like. There's not one instance, and Slime Beast does this every once in a while, and I'm not taking a pot shot at Slime Beast. It's just quick. Oh, no, one second, just 1 second.
Yep.
Welcome back, everyone. Sorry, something came up for a minute, and I had to leave the call, and it dropped. So we're back. We're just coming back here to read the comments of Demonic Ebony Virus Outbreak Super Special Awesome Mega Edition. Okay.
Remastered.
Hyper Turbo. I hate that about all the Street Fighter games. Like, they're the same. Let me see. LOL. She was pretty much the description of the demons. Like, is this similar to Tim Burton's Brainchild? No. Say what you want about Tim Burton, but when he's on the ball, he's really on the ball.
Yeah, true.
It just he hasn't been on that ball in a while. Someone needs to super glue him to it.
Yeah.
Back, demon, back. Go back to whence you came. 10 out of 10.
Wait, was that a comment?
Yes, yes, and he did give her 10 out of 10.
Well, I'm guessing this person has never read anything else in his life.
That's the thing that always makes me curious. Like, in the criteria of horror stories, how could you even loosely think that this story isn't even remotely scary?
Yeah, what is it that you find scary? It's like, it reminds me of like the question about how in the heck do you remotely find the human centipede scary? It's ridiculous. It's retarded. But apparently some people just say it just for some dumb reason.
Hey, we don't use that language here. The human centipede is socially acceptable human being. There we go. We're politically correct here. No, fuck it.
Yeah.
Again, a word is defined by its intentions, and we don't mean to offend anyone. So go fuck yourself, complainers.
Yep.
Although I will say, I frequently use the word cunt to describe women I don't like, and it's not because they're women; it's because they're cunts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched Louis C.K. Guys, please don't search Ebony. It's a color, isn't it?
Yeah, and wait, search? Like, what do you mean search?
What do you mean Google search? Ebony is a color, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not like he's saying, like, guys, don't go in the mirror and say Bloody Mary 3 times.
You're specifically asking us not to look up a color.
Yeah, like, what do you mean? Like, don't search, like, go to her house, do you don't find the song, or what?
I'm still thinking that this person just has an intense fear of that particular color. There are some people who have phobias of colors, so... Like, I'm afraid of the color... Moving on.
Yep.
I'm not telling you people my weakness so you can exploit it.
Mm-hmm.
When I read the title, I first thought it was something racist, but it was pretty decent and sounds like a myth in real life that I would believe.
What?
Then you're some kind of idiot.
What?
You honestly think that this is something that could have happened? That doesn't just bother me. That also offends me.
Yeah. Like, I also can't, like, what is it that in that title that sounds racist? Okay, I'm curious about that.
Demonic Ebony. I think Ebony is a shade of, like, dark. It's a dark color, so that was skin color. Who describes someone's skin color as ebony?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I never really even heard a bunch of that color anyway, so I don't really think it's one we kind of use, you know?
By Pokemon Mage Tech. Fuck. Insightful.
Okay.
By I Like to Eat Pie. At the start it says barely anyone lives there, but at the end it says nobody lives there.
You know, actually, that's good. That's actually a point.
It's almost as if this person didn't reread what they wrote.
Yeah, like the fact of, like, this girl was 13 when she died, and apparently, but also the victims are apparently somewhere around 5 to 18.
I'm not sure what to think of this. On the one hand, it's decently written except for a few instances of incorrect grammar and wrong prepositions. On the other hand, it's a little cheesy and cliche. 6.5 out of 10. A little?
Yeah, a little.
You know, to be fair, I guess you could make the argument that even if it's not well written, you're grading on how effectively it made you frightened. Again, where is the horror element here? Even if it's based on that alone, like if you acknowledge that the story is poorly written, and it still scared you, it doesn't work. It still doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like, that's the argument that Jeff the Killer fans tried to give me before, and it's like, no, it's not a scary story, even if it was better written. I've seen people that try to rewrite it, and it still sucks.
Yeah. I mean, you could still you could try your best to write a story that can be very intense or so, but there's nothing here that actually gives any sense of that matter. It's not intense, it's not thought-provoking, it's not creepy, it's not terrifying or anything. It's just pure shit.
The one problem I have is the use of the term poltergeist. Ebony exhibits none of the poltergeist behaviors of moving/throwing shit.
And you know what else she doesn't have in common? A virus, which is what this story is called.
Exactly. This is a malevolent entity or demon. 8 out of 10. Really, that's your only problem with this? The misuse of one word?
It's for anyone in this comment section that actually has a brain.
Well, that one person that acknowledged the town plot hole.
Well, yeah.
Well, inconsistency more than the plot hole.
Yeah.
How is this a science pasta by XXX Vine XXX? Yeah, this is under science pastas too. Again, this is I understand that with as many stories that get celebrated each day, they don't have the time to look at everything at once. So some stuff is going to slip through the cracks, and that's understandable. But at the same time, if it really is that timely of a process and you don't have the time to do it, just go the old-fashioned route of looking at it when you can, so you can have the time to see if stuff falls through the cracks.
Actually, you know what else I just came to mind?
What?
Considering that in the story, people seem to be aware that these girls were possessed by a demon, right?
Mm-hmm.
How come not a single one of the story mentions a family member trying to get their kid exorcised or something? You know, get it like they didn't call an exorcist. No parent did that or something. You know. I mean, I think out of the odds of the 30 victim girls, I think at least a few of them might have been Christian or something.
Well,
had that.
You know? Well, I can actually explain that, okay? The person who wrote that didn't think about it. There you go.
Yep.
Wait. Didn't this start out as an investigation and turn into a description of things nobody would know of by Cato Man. Cato Man, I think that's how I pronounce it. That's true, and I did notice it, but honestly, I would have brought that up, but that was the least of the story's problems.
Yeah.
10 out of 10 for using that song, and you know what? I'm going to assume that song is nothing more than pretentious drivel. So, and the thing, there's the same thing I do with Frozen. I would have watched the movie, but if I heard Let It Go so many times and it got on my nerves, now I refuse to watch it.
Yep.
So I'm going to do the same thing with that song, and I pretend like it's just... I'm just going to assume that Lil Wayne did it in a remix with that and sampling, I don't know, the sounds of the Happy Madison movies.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's all we have to say for today. And stick around for part 2. We're going to be doing one more story. It's going to be much shorter than this one. I'll say that much. So, and hopefully there'll be some comments so we can actually get some fun out of that too. But anything to say, Alex, before we tune in and do the other one?
Fuck this story. It has nothing to do with viruses, and fuck it for thinking it's like as good as Bloody Mary. Fuck it.
I'm gonna say that I'm not even that big a fan of Bloody Mary, but I was a fan. It's like if this story, the person who wrote this said that as big a legend as Jeff the Killer, I would even be offended with that.
Yep.
Because at least Jeff the Killer has a so bad it's good kind of thing going for it.
I kind of have a debate on that, but whatever.
Well, it's debatable. It's one of those your mileage may vary things.
Yeah.
Okay. Stay tuned for part 2.